Wait, because this is actually insane when you lay it out properly. This was never supposed to come out like this. This was supposed to be one of those quiet, clean transitions where nobody really questions anything, nobody looks deep. And then one day, boom, a new relationship, soft launch, everyone claps, we move on. But that is not what happened here. What actually happened is everything came out in the worst order possible. First, confusion, then random photos, then people realizing they had the wrong guy, then more receipts, then private moments, then suddenly a very public luxury outing like nothing ever needed to be explained. And by the time it all stuck together, it stopped looking like a new relationship and started looking like something people weren't supposed to piece together this early. Because the second people noticed that what was being shown publicly didn't line up with what was allegedly happening privately, everything got louder. The holiday timing started getting picked apart. The identity of the guy kept switching. The twin situation made it even messier. And then, right in the middle of all of that, Chanel. So now it's not just, oh, she has a new boyfriend. Now it's timeline questions, private photos, inside leaks, a public outing, money dynamics, and a situation that feels like it got exposed before it was ready. This whole thing really starts with the timeline not sitting right, and honestly, once that happened, this story was cooked. Because this did not roll out like a normal breakup, then new boyfriend situation. It didn't feel like one door closed, everybody took a breath, and then a new man walked in through the front door with a clean little soft launch. No, it felt like a public version of the story was still on one page while the private version had already skipped ahead 3 chapters and refused to wait for the rest of the class. And that is why people got stuck on it. Around the holiday period, especially, the whole thing started looking funny. Not funny, haha, funny, strange. Because once those private looking moments started being tied to December and Christmas, people started looking at the timeline sideways. And I'm sorry, but holidays are not random. People don't usually end up cuddled up on couches, in bed, around family spaces, on flights, at games, and in all these little real life moments by accident. That is why people started looking at this less like a rumor and more like, wait a minute, how long has this actually been going on? And once that question gets asked, it's over. Because then every little detail starts getting dragged back into the light. December matters, Christmas matters, who was around matters, who was seen where matters. The couch photo matters, the bed photo matters, the football game matters, the playing moments matter. None of it stays small anymore because now people aren't looking at each piece by itself. They are lining everything up like detectives with a corkboard and too much free time. That is really when they stopped being simple drama and turned into a timeline mess.
You guys, when I tell you we were all wrong that Mikayla and Cody were still together, we are all wrong because here has surfaced the truth. This is Zach Panagio. This is the guy's twin brother, Dylan. We all thought it was Dylan that she was dating and stuff. Well, apparently, the girl that Dylan has been seeing has come out with receipts 6 hours ago. Her name is Jenny, and this is Zach. This is Dylan's twin brother. This is Mikayla. Look at short hair. Woo, woo, woo. Zoom in on the Christmas nails. This is them cuddling on the couch in December. Mind you, still married to Cody. Still married to Cody. So, yeah, I admit, I honestly, I thought she was rage baiting us. I thought her and Cody are still together. It was all for their lunch. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. Mikayla and Zach Panagio, Dylan's twin, this is who she's been hooking up with. This is who she's been seeing. Now, apparently, Zach and Dylan, they're twins. They aren't that close. And Dylan is actually really mad that his brother is seeing Mikayla. This is all coming from the girlfriend of Dylan. And yeah, that was Dylan at like the football game and everything else. But apparently, Dylan is now using her for clout. But bring in the twin brother, Zach Panagio. You guys can go find him. But yeah, this is Dylan and Mikayla cuddling up on the couch. And girl, you're still married. You're still married. I don't know. That's kind of fucked up on Cody's part. But we cracked the code. I'm just kidding. It's all because the girlfriend of Dylan came out and had to share her story because she was fuming. She was fuming. And if you don't believe me, I'll repost her videos. But yeah, Zach Panagio, Mikayla, this is December 30th, and she comes with a lot of screenshots that his twin brother has sent to the girlfriend. Anyways,
Because people were not reacting to one joking image, they were reacting to a pattern. That is what made it worse. One random photo? Fine. One random sighting? Okay. But when the details start piling up around the same general period, especially during the holidays, the whole thing starts to feel less like a coincidence and more like the public was late to a story that had already been moving privately for a while. And that changes the way the entire situation lands because now the issue is not just a new guy. The issue is that people feel like they are catching the middle of something they were never supposed to see this early. And once the audience feels like they had to piece the truth together themselves, they stop consuming the story like gossip and start treating it like an investigation. Which honestly is exactly how they started reading. Not like a clean move on, not like a neat little new chapter, more like somebody dropped the pages out of order and expected people not to notice. The internet noticed. Of course it did. The internet could smell weird timing from 3 states away and showed up with reading glasses. And just when the situation was already dragging itself down the street by one heel, the identity of the guy was not even clear at first. And I'm sorry, but that part made this look so much worse. Because how do you already have a messy timeline, private looking moments floating around, people side eyeing the holiday overlap, and then on top of all of that, the internet is apparently focused on the wrong twin at first? That is ridiculous. That is not a clean scandal. That is confusion with a side of chaos.
So Mikayla Nogueira has a new boyfriend named Zach, and he has a twin brother named Dylan. Dylan is leaking all kinds of stuff. Whenever Mikayla comes over, he's taking pictures of her. So Mikayla comes to the internet and she says, remember, everything that you see on the internet is not real. It's not the way it seems. No shit, because she was uploading pictures of her and Cody around Christmas time while they weren't together. But other people are saying that this is just a lavender marriage with her and Cody because he's always been on their radar, and you know what I'm talking about. So here she shows us this is 12/25/2025, but she was already dating Zach. Dylan took this picture at his house when Mikayla came over to visit. Can you imagine the people in your life sitting around taking pictures and selling your stories? That's gotta hurt. Now Mikayla even comes out and says, you guys leave Dylan alone, it's not him, but his twin brother says otherwise. And look, she's just chilling in bed. No clue that they're even taking this picture of her. And she thought this was going to stay a secret.
At one point, people thought it was one twin. Then suddenly, no, not him. Then it became the other twin. Then people are trying to figure out who was seen publicly, who was allegedly around privately, who was being mentioned, who was upset, and who the actual boyfriend even is. So now instead of people just reacting to one clear situation, they are stuck sorting through a brother swap storyline like this is some kind of low budget soap opera filmed behind a TJ Maxx. And the problem is, once a story has to correct itself like that in real time, it instantly starts looking sloppy. Not mysterious, not intriguing, sloppy. Because now it's not just allegedly a new relationship. Now, it is a new relationship wrapped with misidentification, corrections, and extra confusion that did not need to be there at all. It makes the whole thing feel unstable, like even the basic facts had to trip over themselves before getting to the point. And let's be real, the twin angle is what made people dig even harder. Because the second you tell the internet, hold on, wrong brother, it is over. Now everybody thinks they are solving something. Now people are zooming in, comparing faces, retracing appearances, and acting like they work part time for the FBI beauty guru division. It stopped being something people just react to and turned into something people wanted to crack. And that made the whole mess louder, because instead of the story becoming clearer, it became more embarrassing. The reveal of a new man is one thing, but a reveal where people first latch onto the wrong twin? Oh, brother. Literally? That just made the whole situation look more chaotic than it probably needed to. And once that kind of confusion gets attached to a story, it is very hard to make it look polished after that.
The guy that I've been talking to is dating Mikayla Nogueira. Bit of backstory, Dylan.
This is Rich Lax with all the hottest tea on TikTok, and you know I get right to the point. Boom, receipts, girl. Drop a like, drop a comment. So this was a photo that was taken behind the scenes. Mikayla doesn't even know this photo is being taken. And there they are, cuddling up. This is one of the twins. I heard she's dating twins now. Take notes, James Charles, because these men are of age. All right, check it out, guys. What do you think of this? I'm joking. It's a joke. Calm down, James. Don't get all upset. Anyways, yeah, what do you think, ladies? Is he cute? Is he not cute? Let me see. No? What do you think, guys? Now, Mikayla has spoken out. She said this. She said, you guys, leave Dylan alone, you guys. Leave Dylan alone. But, like, you put him in your videos, girl. You put him in your videos. I have the receipts. There's a picture that, well, not a picture, a video that you panned over and he was asleep. There's videos of him getting onto the plane, sitting next to you at the Super Bowl, y'all drinking mimosas. Like, you put him in your videos. Shut up. So now that I have your attention, so I was noticing, right? So hold on. The box says Mikayla Nogueira, right? The perfume box, you know, the box that you guys throw away. But the perfume doesn't have her name on it at all. It just says only Sunshine Sniff. Where's Sniff X Mikayla Nogueira? Where's an autograph of Mikayla? Like, this is why people were side-eyeing. Did this fragrance already exist? And they were like, just put a box on it with her name on it. Is that what the vibe here? Because, like, other beauty gurus or fragrance girls, when they do collabs, you'll see, like, their name will be on it. They'll wrap a charm, a ribbon, a bow, or with their name on the actual fragrance. But all we got with Mikayla, just the box that you throw away. But this right here, how do I know this is Mikayla Nogueira's perfume? It does not have her name on it. And no one's talking about it. It's like a few people were, like, clocking it. Because it costs money to get this package with already the name on it. Money that the brand Sniff didn't want to spend. So it's giving cash grab. Like, this probably already existed, girl. This was not a true collaboration for me if the name is not on the bottle. If you're a Mikayla Nogueira fan, I would be upset. Because you're buying it to support her, but her name's nowhere on the bottle. Girl. This is Rich Laps with the hottest celebrity news and gossip on TikTok. I love you guys. Now, we made this far in the video. Leave a like, leave a comment. Okay, I love you guys so much. Stop being shady, be a lady. Okay? And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cause I have so many, I can't get a day off to save my life.
Then the tone of the entire story shifted, and this is where it stopped feeling like regular internet mess and started feeling way more uncomfortable. Because the photos that started circulating did not look staged at all. They did not look like the kind of content somebody posts on purpose so the internet can start whispering in the comments. They looked private, real private, the kind of private where you can immediately tell this was not meant for public consumption and now everybody is looking at something they probably were never supposed to see. And that is a huge difference. A quiet couch moment in December. A bed photo where she allegedly did not even know the picture was being taken. Moments inside a home. Not a red carpet, not some obvious public date night, not a blurry paparazzi style shot from across the street. Inside moments, relaxed moments, the kind of moments people usually only see when they are already comfortable, already spending real time together, already moving around each other in a way that does not look brand new. That is why this changed everything. Because once the audience sees something candid, off guard, and domestic like that, they stop treating it like a rumor. They start treating it like proof. Maybe not proof of every single timeline detail, maybe not proof of every accusation people are throwing around, but definitely proof that this was not just some random chatter somebody pulled out of thin air. And that is when the story escalates fast. Because now it is no longer just, oh, maybe something is going on. No. Now the energy becomes, okay. And honestly, that is where the whole thing starts feeling grimy. Because the photos themselves are one thing, but the bigger issue is what they imply. They imply that somebody around the situation was close enough to witness private moments, capture them, keep them, and let them circulate. That is nasty. That is not just people gossiping online. That is somebody in or around the environment deciding, you know what? Let me go ahead and help the internet out. Like, damn. Imagine trying to relax in somebody's home and the whole time there is apparently an unpaid surveillance team operating in the background. That part makes it feel invasive in a way that basic drama usually doesn't. Because being seen in public is one thing, anybody can get spotted outside. But inside, on a couch, in bed, in a home setting where you are clearly not performing for an audience, that is what made this feel less like messy dating news and more like the walls themselves were snitching. And once that happens, people do not look at the relationship the same way anymore. They start looking at the entire situation like it has already been quietly unfolding for a while, and these photos were just the moment the curtain got yanked back before anybody was ready. And that is exactly why this section of the story hit so hard. It did not just add more information, it changed the whole mood. Suddenly, it was not just messy, it was exposed. And that leads into the part that really made this spiral because this did not feel like random internet guessing at all. It felt like it came from inside, and that is a totally different kind of mess. Because if this were just people online being bored, reaching, making connections out of thin air, then fine, it would have stayed in that usual gossip lane for a minute. A little chatter, a little speculation, a little, that's weird. And then everybody moves on to the next disaster. But that is not how this landed. The tone changed fast. And it changed because this did not feel pulled out of nowhere. It felt like people who were close enough to actually see what was going on were the ones helping the story get out. That is what made it ugly. Because now the internet is not just whispering about a relationship. Now it feels like the relationship is leaking from the source code. And once that starts happening, everything around it begins to look unstable. Not just the couple, the whole environment. Suddenly, people are not only asking what happened, they are asking who was around, who knew, who was talking, who was sending what, who was holding on to photos, and why these all seemed to be slipping out from people who were near enough to have real access. And that makes the whole situation feel a lot more believable, but also a lot more embarrassing. Because let's be honest, nothing says this is not under control quite like your own Sacos, allegedly beating the public rollout to the punch. That is rough. That is like trying to keep a lid on a pot while the steam is coming out from three different sides and the handle already fell off. And that is why the tone around this whole thing got darker so quickly. If the internet had just invented a theory, that is one thing. But once it starts looking like the information is coming from people close enough to know the difference between rumor and reality, the audience stops treating it like casual gossip. They start treating it like a leak. And a leak feels serious enough when the subject itself is messy and ridiculous. It also says a lot without even saying it directly, because when something keeps slipping out from nearby, it suggests tension. It suggests that not everybody is aligned. It suggests that the people around the situation are not all protecting the same version of the story. And that alone makes everything look shaky. Because now it's not just about whether there is a new man, it is about the environment around that new man. It is about the fact that this situation apparently had enough cracks in it for private information to start seeping through. That is not polished. That is not a clean transition. That is a house with the windows open and everybody outside hearing the argument. And honestly, that is why this backfired harder than it probably had to. The relationship itself might have been one thing, but the sense that the story was escaping from inside the circle made it feel messy in a way that made people latch onto. Once the audience thinks the tea is coming straight from the kitchen, they are not leaving the restaurant. They are sitting down, asking for extra bread and waiting for the next plate to hit the table. Now, here's where the whole thing stops being quiet and starts being loud on purpose, or at least that is how it reads.
Mikayla Nogueira spent $30,000 at Chanel on her new boyfriend, Zach. Let's go to Chanel because you look like hell. That's what I always tell myself. So Chanel, you have a new client. Hello, Mikayla Nogueira. How are you? Oh, you here to shop at Chanel? Oh, who's this? Oh, your new boy toy? Girl, just came in to buy one thing. Mikayla Nogueira, you know, the most cheapest thing at Chanel is about $3,000. And she got one bag, two bag, three, four. And you know what, though? Like, here's the crazy part about it. I know y'all are upset. She's spending $30,000 on Zap. Let's go ahead and zoom in on it. Here, she's dressed. Like, I would have never thought somebody dressed like that would spend 30 grand. It goes to show you, don't judge people by what they wear. This outfit is very relatable. Anybody can go down to the Ross, to the Piggly Wiggly, and get a flannel shirt like that. Even what he's wearing, was that Nike Tech? It's just simple. They look just like regular middle folk, hardworking lumberjacks. You know what I'm saying? They're just regular smuggler. Her makeup looks cute though. But also, this is Mikayla with no filter. No filter. This is the real Mikayla. And I don't want to hear that it's the light and the angle and the light bouncing, reflecting off the swamp gas and the moon and the spring vibe. No, no, no. This is Mikayla Nogueira at Chanel with that amber lighting from the Cheesecake Factory. Here it is. I wonder what she got. Chanel haul. Come with me to Chanel to see what we got. I should do a Chanel. You know, the thing is, right? I see a lot of people say, come with me to get my nails done. But y'all never say, come with me when we see that new Chanel bag. So I'm excited to see this. I wonder what she got. This video is coming soon, so stay for that one. Anyways, all that to say this, guys. What do you think about Mikayla Nogueira spending $30,000 on her new boy toy, Zach? Now, listen, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear, well, how do you know? Well, Rich left. And I'm talking to you, Miranda Pillsbury from Atlanta, Georgia, because you sure have a lot to say in the comment section of all my videos. You know, she went to Chanel. She didn't just buy her stuff. You know, do you want anything? You want that bag, baby? You want that bag, baby? Yeah? Girl. And she has that big $5 million house. And it's just her living in it. And now she got Zach. And Zach's brother Dylan, he's so upset. He didn't get not one Chanel bag. Ladies, can I stop buying men things? Remember, cats don't chase dogs. I keep telling y'all that. Y'all don't ever listen to me. Let me try that new 36-hour matte cosmetics concealer. Okay, guys. Mikayla Nogueira, I hope you didn't buy this matte anything at Chanel. Mikayla, you're a pretty girl. You're a beautiful girl, Mikayla Nogueira. You don't need to be spending money on these men. Have them buy you something, honey. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, right, when you're Mikayla Nogueira, people, they can't match her. Like, she'll never date a man that's, well, not never, highly unlikely that she'll meet a man who can match her bank account, you know? And so what happens is you're the one who always has to end up buying stuff. And I get it. You don't think of it as that. You don't think of it as an investment. You think of it like equity that you're putting into this man. Maybe a little bit of investment, but like, it's not really you spending money on this man. You're more like investing in him and equity in this person, right? But, this is crazy. And the thing is, even if he didn't like Mikayla like that, girl, he likes her now, honey. You buy me a Chanel bag, I love you so much. I'll love you for a long time. Buy me a Chanel bag, honey. Anyways, what do you think about that guy? You know what? But this photo, a photo is worth 1,000 words. So drop at least one comment. Leave a like on this video. Don't be shady. Be a lady, okay? I can't get a like to save my life. Damn, I could barely get a rose. But it's the body demeanor. It's giving like she's in charge. She's alpha female. She's the boss in this photo right here. Also, his body language, it's giving like, look how he's looking at her. His belly is nice and full of Cheesecake Factory food. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's cute, girl. Like, he looks like he's into her. And if he's not into her, he's at least into what she can do for him. Oh, please, Mikayla. He doesn't love you. He loves your money. That's what some people are going to say. Not all. But I'm just saying, watch out for these men. These men be lying. And I feel bad for... Where's Cody at? Anybody know? Have we heard from Cody? We haven't heard from Cody. Damn. You know what? I feel like Cody was costing her too much money. Remember when Jaclyn Hill was married to John Hill? Love John Hill so much. Rest in peace, John Hill. Love you so much. But, he also was very expensive to Jaclyn Hill. And, she cut that cord off and she ended up letting him go in the divorce. And then Mikayla Nogueira, I think that Cody was very expensive. I mean, rehab, it's not cheap, baby. So it's like, why am I going to pay for rehab when I go buy me a Chanel bag? That's one way to think about it. What do you think about that in the comment section down below, you guys? But yeah, you wouldn't catch me at Chanel buying no man Chanel bags. I'll buy me a Chanel bag. You can make me what? Maybe I'll get you a card holder from Canal Street. Maybe I'll get you a little card holder from the TikTok shop. I'll buy you a Chanel bag from the TikTok shop, girl. How about that? The C might be a little crooked, but who's gonna know? Love you. Love you guys. Mwah.
Because after all the confusion, the twin mix-up, the private photos, the holiday side-eye, the timeline questions, all of that, suddenly, there is a very public sighting at Chanel. And I'm sorry, but Chanel is not where you go when you want people to calm down. Chanel is where subtlety goes to die. This is not some random coffee run where maybe somebody caught them in the background and now everybody is overthinking it. No, this is bright lights, expensive bags, very visible setting, and the new man is right there in the middle of it holding the bags like he clocked in for his fast shift. So, of course, people took that as confirmation because once he is physically there, publicly there, visibly attached to the moment, and literally carrying the Chanel bags, it stops feeling theatrical. It stops feeling like maybe, allegedly, possibly. Now it looks like, oh, okay, so this is what we're doing? And that timing matters a lot. Because if the Chanel sighting had happened fast before the leaks, before the private moments, before the wrong twin confusion, before all that build up, people probably would have just talked about it for 5 minutes and moved on. It would have been, oh, she has a new man. Okay, girl, next topic. But because it happened after everything else, it landed completely differently. It did not feel casual. It did not feel accidental. It did not feel like a carefree shopping trip. It felt like the public version finally catching up to the private mess. That is why it came off less like a soft launch and more like, all right, fine, here, you got your answer. Because once the secrecy is already cracked, a public sighting does not feel fresh, it feels reactive. And that is what made the Chanel moment so juicy to people. It looked like the point where the relationship could no longer hide behind confusion. The mystery was already limping along on life support, and Chanel basically walked in and unplugged it. And then, because this internet can never just let one scandal be about one thing, the second Chanel enters the chat, the money conversation takes over. Because now it is not just about who he is. Now it is not just about when it started. Now it is
And what
about
gave
the
you the
dynamic.
confidence?
People started
Delusion.
reading that
That
immediately.
worked.
They see luxury bags. They see a new man. They see him carrying everything. And suddenly, everybody becomes a relationship economist with a minor in body language analysis. Now, the questions are different. Who is spending? Who is benefiting? Who is in charge here? What exactly are we looking at? And Chanel makes all those questions louder because Chanel is not subtle. Chanel announces money before anybody even opens their mouth. It is one of those brands where the room already knows what that conversation is going to be before the receipt is even folded. So now the relationship is not just being looked at emotionally, it is being looked at financially. And that changes the energy a lot. Because people will tolerate a messy timeline and still shrug it off as romance. But once money gets added, especially visible money, luxury money, shopping bag money, suddenly the relationship gets put under a completely different microscope. Some people are going to see that and say, okay, she is rich. She can spend however she wants. Good for her. Other people are going to look at it and immediately go, oh, brother, here we go. Not the new man already being attached to designer bags and public flexing. Not the internet getting a front row seat to the luxury starter pack. And that is why this part of the story blew up, because Chanel gave people something visible to latch onto. Private photos create suspicion. Chanel creates a storyline. Now, people can look at the image and build a whole theory around the relationship dynamic, whether they are right or wrong. And let's be honest, a man holding Chanel bags in the middle of boyfriend drama is the kind of image the internet will dine out on for days. It is right there. It is easy. It is loud. It is basically drama with gift wrapping. That outing is also the point where the whole relationship stops feeling hidden. Before that, everything felt like fragments, clicks, candid moments, confusion details, stuff people were piecing together from the side of the story instead of the front of it. But after Chanel, now it feels public. And that is exactly why the rollout feels weird. Because it did not go from private to public in a smooth way. It went from private to exposed to public visible without ever really getting that clean in between stage where things are explained, settled, or at least presented in a way that looks intentional from the beginning. From the outside, what it looks like is the public image trying to catch up to something that was already spilling out. And whether that is fair or not, whether that is exactly what happened or not, that is how it reads when the sequence lands like this. People don't judge based on facts, they judge based on order. And the order here is what made it feel off. Because once the audience gets the private mess first, the public appearance after that does not feel like a reveal. It feels like stage two of damage control. It feels like somebody realizing the toothpaste is already out of the tube and deciding to at least set the toothbrush next to it. And the thing is, even with the Chanel outing happening publicly, the holiday piece never really left the story. Because holidays are what make this feel heavier. People can't brush off a random sighting. People can excuse a random dinner. People can even shrug off a date or two if the timing isn't clear. But once Christmas and December get attached to a conversation, the situation starts sounding a lot more serious. Because holidays are intimate. Holidays usually mean time, access, comfort, closeness, family proximity, all of that. So
I'm
if
really
people believe
struggling with my
somebody was
eating.
spending that kind of
I've talked
time with a
about my
new
ED
person or
for
around
years,
that
and
person's
it's
environment,
really bad
while
right
the
now.
previous relationship still
Um,
looked
and
perfectly
I feel like shit.
unresolved, that
And I
adds
don't want to let it
weight
get worse.
immediately.
And I want to really
That
start
makes it
taking care
feel
of
less
myself.
random. That
I've
makes it
gained 20
feel
pounds
less new.
really
That
fast,
makes it feel like
and none of my
this
clothes fit
had
me.
already
And
been
I
perfectly
just want to get
evolving
back on
while
track.
the
I want to
audience
get into a
was
better
still
place. I
looking
am
at
ready for
a
my glow up
different
era.
chapter.
So,
And once that
with
idea
that being
gets
said,
stuck in
I should
people's
probably have
heads,
food in my
every
fridge
new
and not be
detail
getting
just feeds
DoorDash
it.
every
The
single day.
private photos feed
So,
it.
let's go to the
The
grocery
public
store.
Chanel outing feeds it. The twin confusion feeds it. The whole thing starts
Look at how beautiful
reinforcing
these
the
apples
same
are.
suspicion that the story was moving privately long before the audience realized it. And honestly, this is the point where it
Can't
stops
wait for
even being
strawberries to be
about
back
a
in season.
boyfriend, because a boyfriend by himself is not enough to create all of this. What turned this into a full internet situation was not just a new man, it was the feeling that people
Buying
were
this just because
seeing
the
the
bottle's
gaps
pretty.
between what was happening
For my
and
stuffed
what
peppers.
had been publicly understood. So
I
now
like to
the
put
issue
boiled
becomes
eggs in my
trust.
salads.
Trust
This
in
is
the
my cat.
timeline.
Super
Trust
healthy.
in
Feel
what
really good
is
about
being
it.
shown. Trust in what was real versus what looks managed. Because there are too many moving pieces here for this to say a simple rolling
Been needing
story.
a sign to take
You
care
have
of yourself?
timeline
Let
questions.
this be it.
You have private looking photos. You have the wrong twin getting attached to the story fast. You have inside leaks. You have holiday closeness. You have public Chanel confirmation. You have the money confirmation on top of that. It is a lot. And when a story comes out in fragments like this, people do not experience it like a love story. They experience it like an unraveling. Like they are not being told what happened. They are finding it in pieces and the couch, cushions, or the internet. That is why the energy changed so much. This stopped being, "Aw, new couple." It became, wait, what exactly is the real timeline here? So, yeah, this was never just new boyfriend drama. This is actually the least interesting part of it. What made this blow up was the mess around it, the timing that did not sit right, the identity confusion, the private moments surfacing fast, the public Chanel moment coming after, the money conversations getting layered on top, and the holiday detail still hanging over everything like a bad smell that would not leave the room. That is why this turned into such a full situation. Because once the internet feels like it got the truth before it was supposed to, people do not just sit back and watch the relationship. They start auditing it. They start dissecting every image, every outing, every timeline detail, every little shift in presentation. And at that point, it is not just gossip anymore. It is an investigation with shopping bags. And that is exactly why this whole thing backfired the way it did.